Okay, going live for the first time on YouTube, so just go ahead and don't mind any of the nonsense that is happening in the background. So if we haven't met, my name is Lainey from Harvick Farms. I am a nurse for a hospital full time, and then also run Harvick Farms with my husband, Joseph Harvick. And it's in our 4th year at our nursery, and the nursery has slowly turned into more food production. And so what we offer at Harvick Farms is a CSA. We have a farm stand, and then we also not only grow our own produce, but we also sell plants, annual and perennials as well. So what I'm coming on here live for the first time for is related to Missouri Eats program. So I had applied for Missouri Eats program, which is a competitive program in order to gain access for their 3-year program to identify resources and get a small lump sum grant as well that helps with any of the food system opportunities that we find. And so I have it up here, but ultimately what I have and what I have a request, it's in the comments below, is the survey. And so the survey, we only have 80 people that have taken it so far in both Lawrence and Berry County. Just to give an understanding, there's about 3,000 people just in Cassville, which is in Berry County. So that amount of surveys is a very small portion of our population. And I don't know if that's really giving us enough justice and a voice of what's happening with our food system here in Berry and Lawrence County. So I am on here live. I did a Facebook Live and now doing my first YouTube Live in order to really encourage individuals to take that survey. It's going to help us understand what our barriers are, what the needs are, and how to move forward. So once again, that survey link is in the comments. I'm just going to go over some of the PowerPoints that I have done. I've gone to coalition meetings, commerce meetings, continuing to do conferences, and we'll spread the word on that as well. And so hopefully being able to engage with the larger community here on YouTube will allow us to reach more people in Berry and Lawrence County. So if you are someone that is out there and you would love to share this, that would be fantastic. Really, really encouraging to get more folks involved. So Missouri Eats is creating a local food system, and that is to enhance our community health and economic well-being for the area. And so the idea of Missouri Eats is it allows us to build a leadership group, build those bonds and relationships of all different aspects of our food system, and then understand what the barriers are in our current food system, and then find solutions and then act on those solutions. And so it is a 3-year purpose of it is to plan and to make action items and build committees and so forth. But if you know me at all, I'm an action person. So I want to get in there and understand what the problem is and then find solutions. And so I don't like to do the paralysis analysis situation for too long. I like to be able to get out there, see what works, what didn't work, and then identify, reassess, and see how we can move forward from that. So that's what we're doing in Mo Eats. We've gathered farmers, myself, specialty crop, dairy farmers, cattle farmers. We have nutrition specialists that are in our local food district or our local schools. We also have restaurants that are involved in our program, a coalition representatives from food pantries and supplemental assistant programs in our area. Specialists, we have a diabetic educator, a dairy specialist, and a food nutritionist. So these are just the initial folks that we have on our leadership team to get the ball rolling, but we're really excited. And if you're interested and want to engage, definitely contact me and get on board. So what's a food system? It encompasses all the people and the processes and the infrastructure involved in that food from farm all the way to the table. And so you can see here, as an example, we have the production. So whether that's dairy, cattle, or crops, that is part of the food production. And then it transitions into the processing. So many times, like beef needs to be processed. And then what does the distribution looks like? So how do we get the product to the people? And then where are the people at? Is it restaurants? Is it schools? Is it directly to the consumer and homeowner? And what does that look like? And then the last portion is the waste. So what happens with all that surplus and waste? So identifying what everybody's role was in the leadership team, and then where the survey comes into play. That survey helps us identify who you are potentially as a consumer or as a producer or somebody a part of your food system process that identifies who you are in the process. And then you can express what the barriers are and what potential solutions you have thought of or what has worked in the past and what's working now, but maybe needs some more resources to get off the ground. So we did some initial meetings about a month ago. We're going to have our third meeting this week, which is really exciting. We're going to Mount Vernon this time. We've tried to go to somewhere different each time in order to make sure that we're capturing all of our Berry and Lawrence County, but trying to identify what are the hopes and dreams for our community as it relates to food farming and health and food access. So Missouri Eats and what it is a 3-year program. It engages community members to come together in different aspects of that pie that you saw earlier and how we can develop a plan and then how do we execute and transform. So how do we make some action items out of that? So what we initially did those first couple of meetings, meet and greet, figured out where we were at. We identified there was a lot of folks in the education space. There is some folks that are in the producer space, but there's a lot of consumers. That is the biggest aspect of it. And whether you were on the retail side of things or a farmer, you were also a consumer. And so that was a really interesting activity to kind of see. Some of the bigger barriers also was transportation and then understanding that there's a lack of specialty crop farmers in our area. So lots of dairy and beef cattle, but not a lot of folks that are growing food for the consumer. They grow corn and soy, but not necessarily lettuce greens or tomatoes or your broccoli and squash zucchini. You have some folks that are vegetable growers in their home, like they have a home garden, but not necessarily for the bigger production. If you're wanting to do a farm to school program or sell to restaurants, we didn't have a large amount of farmers. And if they are, we just haven't identified them. And so we started a list that and came to really quickly find out that there are a lot of producers out there. They're just in some silos areas. And so perhaps there needs to be an opportunity for a food hub, as an example, where there's a place that can aggregate everything into one. And then that food hub potentially can go out and do farm to school tables, or they can do restaurant sales or so forth, because a lot of programs have a lack of staff that can coordinate working with multiple farmers. So if it could be easier just to be working with one food hub as an example, and then that can help with our local economy and our impact as well. So some initial conversations we had. Part of Missouri Eats is gathering the information, getting the data. Once again, the community-wide survey, it doesn't even take 15 minutes. So being able to take that survey gives us a portion of the data in order to get to understand where we need to go. Then we'll have some focus groups. Once we start to establish what the needs are, do we need focus groups on how to fix transportation? Do we need focus groups on how to get farm to school or to food pantries and those type of things? And then we'll have one-on-one interviews that we'll schedule throughout the year too. Once again, trying to figure out where our gaps and maybe potential solutions are. And then sharing all that information with the community. And so how do we do that? Do we just do a PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint? Probably not ideal, right? Maybe a community-wide event. So like a Fall Fest or Spring Fest or a health and wellness outreach program. So just spitballing ideas so far. We've thought about doing a health and wellness in combination with the hospital. And so being able to have fun vendors and YMCA or youth activities, but then also have where there's a diabetic educator on site and we can be taking glucose or taking blood pressure. And we can do that in a really fun, exciting environment. And then you could also have both aspects where it's in one central location for the year, and then we can gain feedback for that. So part of Missouri Eats is there is a financial component of it. So there's $5,000, and that's over the 3 years of the program, and you can utilize that for meetings, but you can also utilize it for your community-wide event, for mini grants that can go into these smaller projects that would help identify or kind of help as a small resource to get things up and going, and so forth. So the idea with this too is that if you can identify, example, a farm to school program, there's schools that are right on the edge. They really want to apply for the farm to school program, but they don't have enough resources or don't have quite enough information or don't have enough buy-in for the school, what have you. We can collectively figure out potentially to submit for a grant. And this can help with identifying and building mobile markets or a transportation service or a food hub or things like that. And so if we collectively can come together and work with for-profits and non-for-profits, and we can apply for some of these grants like food insecure grants, farm to school programs. We can also look at prescription produce box grants, just to name a few that we've looked at. So looking at potential fundings that would get us off the ground, but the bigger goal would not to always depend on that funding, right? The goal would to make a positive impact in which you can have, as an example, a retailer buying enough from a food hub, which that food hub provides 70% back to the farmer. And then that farmer who also has kids that go to the school is getting nutritious school. And then it comes back. And then hopefully you can build jobs, for instance, because you're having an increase of the production that you need. And so now you're providing individuals with jobs and you're providing healthy local food. And then you can pay the farmer. And so then we have more people who are maybe wanting to go into farming because you can actually make a little bit of a living off of it. So just trying to figure out how you can make it sustainable without the initial funding. But Missouri Eats has a reputation. They have made a positive impact. As an example, I've sat down with Nadawa County, and they had positive impacts. Ultimately, they made these subcommittees because your Mo Eats program will dissolve. So you have to find something that's going to continue to go on in your counties. So the county ended up making subcommittees. They did a beginner farmer program that they have. They have a farm to school program. They have community impact, which is more focused onto the food pantries, for instance, and food security. And that's just to name a few. So they have definitely shown how you can utilize Missouri Eats program to establish these food systems in your county and keep it going. And so myself, Lainey Harvick, I'm doing Berry and Lawrence County, Missouri. And then Jasmine LeBlanc is doing Dade County. And so that's kind of over in the Ash Grove area on that side. And then because we're somewhat close to each other in Southwest Missouri, we have some overlap. And so myself and Jasmine work really well hand in hand because we have the big mission in our mind. And both are very focused on trying to get things done. And so I'm hoping to have continuing and great partnership and collaboration with her on this. And so once again, the whole point of Missouri Eats is to strengthen the connection with food producers and the consumers. It's to elevate and capitalize on opportunities and really focus on getting that collaboration and the coordination as well. So some of the ideas that we've touched based on already: farm to school, doing a food hub so you can aggregate everything from the farmers and then go out from there, or value-added products or things that potentially that the farmer is making, but they don't have the facility or the equipment to make value-added products, which would make their items more food stable or be able to be used by a consumer better. And so being able to look at aspects like that. And then incentive programs as well, like prescription produce box that can be reimbursed by your insurance or something that's related to the food pantry, etc. So creating those markets and opportunities and establishing those partnerships. This is just saying where we are in Southwest Missouri. We're in the corner. So we're about 45 minutes an hour to Northwest Arkansas. As an example, we are on the far southwest corner of Missouri. So many people can be involved in this. You can be the producer, you can be in food emergency management, you can be an institution, FFA, youth programs, nonprofits, for-profits, banks, disaster programs, government, trade association, all things. So many people touch the concept of food systems. And so it's a huge diverse amount of individuals that we really want to get on board and to be a part of this. So what we're needing from you, once again, the survey. If you can take out the survey and share it and text it to your friends and try to send it, if you can, into email, or just physically hold the QR code so somebody can scan it so they can take the link, it would go a tremendous amount for us, because we're currently at 80 individuals that have taken that survey. And in my personal opinion, I just don't think that's quite enough to really have a good understanding of where we're at, and we need a baseline for that. So then when we're starting to make these changes and starting to formulate ideas, that they're related to any issues that we actually have, and we're not just trying to solve for a solution that may not even be a problem. So we definitely need the surveys to be done so we can make sure that we're on the right path, or if we're missing a huge gap that we haven't thought about, because maybe that doesn't touch my life as much as it touches others. And so being able to make sure that we're capturing everything. And so please share that survey. It is in the comments below, and it should be in the link in the description of this video. And then once we get all those surveys back, we will do the other aspects of one-on-one and group sessions and go from there. So if you have any questions, or we have our email if you have any questions, and then we have the individuals that are working with us as well in Berry and Lawrence County and all of that. So thank you. I appreciate you bearing and staying on with me for as long as it has been, a whole 17 minutes. Normally I can knock this out in like 2 minutes, but I wanted to stay on long enough so if there's any comments or questions, I could be available. So please share the survey. I would greatly appreciate it. And until hopefully we can make a positive impact in our local food community. So here from Lainey at Harvick Farms, until next time, have a great day.